So I used to hate brainstorming sessions. We would sit in a room coming up with the next big idea. And some of these meetings were very long, actually. And what would happen was, and this might be familiar to you, there'd be someone in the front, like standing at the whiteboard, and they'd be saying, okay, everybody, like, let's, again, let's think out of the box. Let's come up with the best, newest, exciting idea. Like, no matter what it is, like, there's no bad ideas, like, just get every idea out there. And we've sat through so many of these different types of brainstorming meetings before. And I came to the point that I was just like, I don't even like, I can't even like, I don't want to be in any more brainstorming sessions again. Like, this was like so annoying. It was so frustrating. And I used to walk out, and it was funny because I used to walk out, like, I know I'm a creative person, but I literally left feeling like, maybe I'm not creative. Like, why am I doing things wrong? Like, why are these meetings frustrating for me? And at one point, I actually was asked to leave the brainstorming session. I was actually kicked out. Okay. I was kicked out of a brainstorming session because anytime someone would suggest an idea that I was like, this is so not practical, they would say, Meira, you're just like, you're negative and you're a Debbie Downer. And we would rather you just not be here because you're preventing the flow of good ideas. And I really left these meetings feeling like, maybe there's not so much hope for me. Like, I didn't know what to do. And so I was like, kind of like, I don't know, maybe I should just stop with these, stop with the brainstorming sessions. Like, maybe I should stop attending. So I am, John, do you just mind start making me a co-host for a minute? Okay, so I'm going to start sharing my screens. I'm sharing my screen, and I'm going to teach you the secrets that I learned, and hopefully you'll be able to do that as well and use them as well. Okay, so I'm in these meetings and they're going horribly. And then one day someone hands me this book and it's called Inside the Box. And I was like, they're like, listen, just read the book. I'm telling you, you'll never have to think out of the box again. And I was like, okay, I'll read it. Like, I don't know what this is, but like, I'm just going to try it. And I read this book and I'm like, wait a minute. Creativity and innovation is a skill. It's not a gift. Anybody could learn how to be creative, how to brainstorm if they just follow certain steps. I'm like, this is amazing. Now, what happened was I work, a little bit more, I'll tell you, in full-time in nonprofit. And I was like, I can't really apply this to my work. Like, I'm not sure how to use this. And I did what most people don't do is I saw that one of the authors of the book, I didn't know him. His name was Jacob Goldenberg. I'm like, he sounds maybe like a good connection. And I sent him an email and I was like, hi, I work in the diaspora. I work for a nonprofit, and he lives in Israel. I'm like, let's just try it. And I said, I really want to know how to apply your work to what I do. And he said, let's set up a Zoom. And really, the rest has been history. So my name is Meira Spivak, and I work full-time, as I mentioned, in nonprofit, primarily focused on management, fundraising. I work for an organization called NCSY, and that is what I do full-time. I also run like a side, I would say side business, where I help really for and not-for-profits to reach goals effectively so that they could save a lot of time and money and produce results. So that's like, very exciting. I'm a trained facilitator, and this is what's the most relevant for you, is that I'm a trained facilitator in this method of innovation or brainstorming called SIT, Systematic Inventive Thinking. And I'm going to tell you a little bit more about that today. But I do know how to innovate on demand and brainstorm efficiently. And I could train you to help solve your problems really quickly. So after connecting with Jacob, I realized that I just needed like this one thing. Like, if I only learned this one thing, which is SIT, I'm going to have like the answer to everything. Is going to be amazing. So thank you for everyone here has joined me today. I'm like very excited about it. What are we going to accomplish today? So number one, I'm going to share with you a little bit of what SIT is and how it works. I'm going to explain to you why we brainstorm the way we do and why it doesn't work. I'm going to give you tips on how to brainstorm more effectively. So I assume if we accomplished that today, you would feel really good about your time here. Can I get a little nod? Is that good? We feel good about that? Okay, great. But also, in addition to that, I'm going to make it practical too. And I'm going to share with you, obviously, how to help, if I can help you in the process, if you need. So it doesn't matter if you've done this before. It doesn't matter if you had a system. It doesn't matter if you were born creative. with the right tools, you can better brainstorm. You could run better brainstorming sessions, like literally starting tomorrow. So if you were at any of my past webinars, there's going to be a tiny bit of overlap, very tiny, just for a few prereqs that I want to share with everybody today. Almost all of it is going to be new. If you missed those sessions, they are available on my website, meiraspivak.com/videos. And those are different, but there will be like one or two concepts today, just that I have to repeat, just so everybody's on the same page. So it's funny because when you learn this, there are people that think like, there's no way I could do this. Like, it's too hard. And I'm going to show you how easy this is. It's fun. I love making things simple. And, a lot of times when people bring me in, like to their schools and to organizations, to nonprofit, whatever it is to help them, some of them are coming in like, can you just please run our brainstorming sessions for us? And they're like, we know how to do it, but could you just take care of it? And, and that's fine, but you'll see how easy it is. Okay. People think, it's very hard to deal with specific people at brainstorming sessions. There are people that take over. They're a little bit annoying. They just, they're just these people that get up and they don't stop talking. If you set this up properly, you're going to eliminate so many of these problems in your sessions. And people also think it takes so much time to implement, but what I'm going to teach you is going to be able to be implemented so quickly. And if anyone knows anything about me, I hate wasting time. That's like literally my pet peeve. So if you just follow me on this journey, I think you're going to go places. So are we ready to start? Thumbs up. Are we good? Okay. Amazing. Great. Awesome. So what is SIT? So SIT, or systematic inventive thinking, is a method of innovation and creativity. And the way it works is that when we follow templates or patterns, we are able to innovate much quicker. Now, again, this sounds funny. I'm telling you, is if you want to be creative, you need to follow templates. And I know it sounds counterintuitive. Most of us think, well, I don't know, how do you usually generate a good idea? Like a lot of times people are like, I don't know, I woke up in the middle of the night and it just came to me, right? Or I was taking a walk and I just thought of it. And, you could do that. It's just not efficient. I'm going to teach you a really efficient way to brainstorm. So we follow these 5 templates. It seems counterintuitive, but I want you to just think about one thing before we go on. When you read let's say a murder mystery or a crime book, when you read it, there's always going to be some sort of murder or some sort of crime. There's going to be someone who solves it, and there's going to be a happily ever after, or everybody dies. Okay, there's a conclusion. When you open this book, you never think, this is so boring. I cannot believe there's a crime. When you listen to a song, you never think, I can't believe that there's another chorus. This is so boring. What the structure of the book does, what the structure of a song does, is it gives us, again, a structure or a template to be creative within that structure. By allowing our brain and thinking out of the box and just free flow of ideas, that doesn't help us. It doesn't actually help us generate innovative ideas. And I'm going to share you why that. So this is a guy, okay? His name is Alex Osborne. And if anybody here can mute themselves, anyone here not muted, please feel free to mute yourself. Alex Osborne, 1953. He wrote a book called Applied Imagination, Principles and Procedure of Creative Thinking. Now, what happened is he looked around the world and he saw that people were just not generating enough innovative ideas. And he didn't understand why. I've coined him the father, okay, of classic brainstorming. It's not official. It's just what I've decided to name him. But if you go to any brainstorming session, they are following his ideas. And I'm not going to go into depth here because there's not a lot of time, but I want to share with you what his 4 key principles are. He said that if you want to run a brainstorming session, there are 4 steps that you need. Number 1, you need to defer judgment. There's no bad ideas. Let's write every idea on the whiteboard. Just don't judge. Don't judge now. We'll judge later. But don't worry. Just write the ideas down. He said quantity over quality. The more ideas on the whiteboard, the better. It doesn't matter if they're good. Just put them on. Put them on. Any ideas, million ideas. Come on, get it on. Build on the ideas of others. Yes, and that's a good one, right? Yes, and we all say that. Don't ever say no. Just say yes, and. Okay, not only are we going to rent out a blimp, but we're going to rent out a blimp and 6 planes. And yes, and. And the last one is, wow, ideas are preferred. The crazier the idea, the better. Don't think small, think big, think crazy. And I assume here that everyone here is related to this type of brainstorming session before. And they stem, if you want to know, from this guy named Alex Osborne, who honestly, didn't do us much of a service, but I'm going to share with you a little bit more about, but, he's having this type of meeting. You have the moderator at the front. They're like getting the ideas going. And, if anyone here is comfortable, feel free to put on the chat if there's a time that you have had like this, waste of time. And I'll share with you one time I was actually asked to chair Innovators Circle. We went to Manhattan to a high rise, like a fancy apartment in the Village. We could write on the walls. It was the coolest place. Like if you want a space for creativity, this was it. Okay, no walls, open room, blah blah, all the stuff. And when people ask me after, how was that conference? Like, how did it go? Was it innovative? And you know what I say? It felt really cool. But I don't think that there is one idea that we actually got from that brainstorming session. It's literally not one idea that we use today. It's not about cool. It's about effective. Alex Osborne's ideas were very cool, but we need to find out whether or not they were actually effective. Okay, so what happened? Was his idea successful? So let me tell you what happened. In 1993, in Yale University, okay, there was a study done by Donald Taylor, and he found, oh, shocking, that brainstorming sessions are unproductive, okay? And he said that it doesn't make sense to put 15 people in a room when one person is talking and 14 people are listening. And if you think about that, it is crazy. This is literally the way that we brainstorm nowadays. I'm just going to ask again if anybody here, and I'm trying to figure out who the person is who sound again. All of the people. Anybody here know who this might be coming from?
Yeah, it's from Jacob, Chicago Jacob Tempo. Meira, if you can make me a co-host, I can take care of it.
It's not allowing me to mute him. I don't know why. So, oh, now he's muted.
There we go. We got him. He's
Okay,
muted himself.
amazing. Okay.
Thanks, Jacob.
Okay, amazing. Okay, great. So he says that if you put one person in the front of a room and you have everyone else listening, he's like, it's just a waste of time. It's much more productive to work in small groups. People are speaking, and I'm going to share with you a little bit more at the end about how to practically do this. But when you're in a big group, people are not engaged. It's distracting, right? Like half the people are spacing out. They're on their phones. And sometimes these bigger brainstorming sessions, they breed competition, right? It's like, oh, who's going to say the best idea at the meeting? And everyone's trying to like outdo each other. That happens in some of these meetings. People are afraid to share. If you're not the loud person, if you're not, like, your boss is up there and you're embarrassed or you don't want to look badly, like, people are afraid to get up there. But bottom line is it's unproductive to put every idea on the whiteboard, okay? It's just not productive. And many times we sit in these sessions and, coming up with the next big idea, but unfortunately it doesn't work and it's just not efficient. So I'm going to, some of you might be familiar with this puzzle. It's called the 9-dot puzzle. If you've done it before, I'm going to ask you not share the results. I'm going to ask everyone to take out a paper, if you can, and a pen. And I'm going to ask you to draw 9 dots on a paper, just like this. Okay, so I'm going to give you a minute, take out a paper and a pen, and draw 9 dots. They don't have to be, I'll give a little space between them, but like if you're thinking of a regular size paper, you could draw it over half a paper, something like that, okay? So just grab a paper, and here are the instruction of the puzzle. I want you to connect all 9 dots without picking up your pen for the paper, using only 4 lines. Okay, so what you need to do is you need to connect all the dots using only 4 lines, but don't pick up your pen. Like you can't like go like this and start again. You have to keep going continually. Okay, like this, 4 lines, but connect every single dot. And it is a hard puzzle, but I will give you about a minute to try to do this. If you've just joined recently, we've spoken about how regular classic brainstorming sessions are inefficient. And I'm going to share with you how our way of thinking based on this 9-dot puzzle is really, a lot of our thinking is based on this result of this puzzle. So it's really fascinating. I'll give you about another 30 seconds. Again, we're trying to connect all 9 dots without picking up our pen for the paper, using only 4 lines. It is so hard that if anybody gets it without knowing the results, I'll actually be impressed. I gave up. I couldn't even I was just done. We'll give you 5 more seconds. Okay, so some of you worked on this puzzle. Some of you might have done this, and maybe you ran out of time. You might have tried this, and maybe you ran out of time. But here's the thing. There's a reason why you can't solve the puzzle. And it's because in your mind, you've imagined a box outside of the puzzle. And you think that to get the results, you need to stay within the box. But you see, if you want to answer this puzzle and you want to solve it, you actually have to go outside of the box. In order to solve the 9-dot puzzle, you need to go out of the box. And that is the only way that you could solve it. So you've created this imaginary box, but really you need to go around it. You see, what happened was people saw this and said, wait a minute. Are you saying that in order to solve problems, we need to go out of the box? Oh, the reason why this is a really creative problem, in order to creative problem solve, we need to think out of the box. And based on this 9-dot puzzle, that's where that term thinking out of the box came from. Now, it sounds really cool. And if you thought about it, you'd be like, oh, cool, think out of the box. Now, that is what I thought, but not everybody believed that. And actually 2 studies were done. One was done at the Temple University of Philadelphia, and another one was done at the University of Texas. And they actually took 2 groups, okay? One group gave the 9-dot puzzle, and they said, 4 lines, don't take your pen off the paper, connect all, whatever it was, same instructions. I want you to solve this puzzle. And then the second group, they said the same thing. 4 lines, the 9 dots, don't take your pen off the paper. But I want to tell you, in order to solve this puzzle, please think out of the box. And guess what? How many people do we think, what percentage of people do we think solved it? I'll give you like this. The first group, it's a hard puzzle. 20% of the first focal group solved the puzzle. Okay? The second group was told to think out of the box. Guess how many people, what percentage of people solved that problem? I mean, they were told, think out of the box. Anyone guess the number? Put in the chat. Oh, lots of chats going on. I'm really sorry. Okay, 50% we're up to. We think 50%? Right, that's right, 95%.
20%.
Yeah, honestly, it was 25%, which could have been like a margin of like a little error, okay? And think about why this is like mind-blowing, okay? Telling people to think out of the box doesn't make you creative. Just because they told them think out of the box, literally think out of the box, they couldn't do it. Out of the box brainstorming doesn't work. Sitting in a room and telling someone to think out of the box will not generate creative ideas. If we want to innovate, we need to think inside the box, which is the name of the book, inside the box. We need to think in a box. We need to make a box, make a template, make ourselves restrict our options in order to innovate. And now you know why running a brainstorming session probably never worked, where you're sitting in a room and someone's like, think out of the box. And you're like, what do I think about? No, think out of the box. You're like, I still don't know what to think about. Like, they're saying it in 6 different ways. And you're like, I still don't know what to think about, because it doesn't help you. Just someone telling you that is not going to help you. And that's why what I'm going to do is I'm going to help you to learn how to run your meetings more efficiently. And at the end, I'm also going to, again, give you these tools and make it very practical for you. So we said before that there's these 5 templates, okay, of innovation. Now, what this is these are the 5 templates of SIT. When I said we create templates for ourselves, these are 5 different templates. We are not going to go into the templates today. These are just so you know, for your knowledge. I do teach people how to apply these templates. I teach it like it's amazing. It will change. If you know this, how to do this, you will be able to innovate on demand. You'll be able to solve your business problems. You'll be able to solve your school problems. You can solve, like, there's every challenge is an opportunity. I like, just for you, learn this. If you read the book, if you need help, I can help you. But like, this is a game changer. Like, these are the templates and these are a game changer. Okay. But I want to go on to one more like prereq that you need to know before we get to, the brainstorming sessions, okay? So there's a concept called the closed world. Now, remember I told you that you need to make a box? What does that mean? What does that mean, make a box? How do I make a box? So this is the idea, is that when we make a box, what we're doing is we're limiting our options. Right now, our brain, when we say think out of the box, we're like, I don't know what to think about. So what we need to do is we need to make a box that is so small and tell you your answers need to come from this tiny place. I'm basically going to restrict your options so much that you are forced to think innovatively. When we stay within this closed world, within this box, when we use resources right in front of us and we don't keep thinking about outside and other big things, we think what's right in front of me, we are actually going to be solving a lot more problems quickly. We're going to spend less money and we're going to do it quicker. You see, the closer the solution is to you, the more innovative it is. I want to say that again. The closer the solution is to you, the more innovative it is. And I love giving this example, but if you're having a staff party, and what's the classic? You're having a staff party. Someone's like, who should we bring in? What should we do? We should bring in a caterer. We're having a holiday party. Maybe we're going to bring in a hypnotist, whatever it is. Okay. Now, if you don't need to be creative and you just have a classic and you just want to get a caterer and you just want to get a hypnotist, that's fine. But if you need an innovative solution or you can't afford a caterer, if you can't afford a caterer, and now instead you look right next to you and you say, what resources do I have? And you turn to your staff. And instead of getting a caterer, you run a Top Chef event and your own staff is now cooking the food for their own party. I'm going to tell you, it's for sure going to be more creative. If you've ever had to have like a family vacation, okay, if you want to go to an amusement park with your family, that's fine. If you could afford that, if you could do it, that's great. But I will tell you, it's not necessarily innovative. If you need to be innovative, maybe you have lack of budget, lack of time, whatever that is, lack of manpower, whatever you do, if you tell your children, we have $10 and that's what we're spending today and we need to come up with something innovative, I don't know what's going to go on in your house, but I can assure you it's going to be creative because you're limiting your options so much that we don't have another choice. And a lot of times leaders get stuck here because we're so trained to look outside that we miss out on creative solutions because a lot of times they're right in front of our noses. If you can, like, start on your own time practicing this. You know, I have a door on my house, my home, the lock, like the doors on the bedrooms are just like these ones with these holes in them. And when you have like a key, it comes with a little key and you stick it in. When I lose that key, which probably happen like every single hour, okay? When I lose that key, I could go to Home Depot and I could buy another key. That's not innovative. If I take a skewer or a wire hanger and I stick it in my door, that is more innovative. Now, it doesn't mean you can't go buy a key, but when you don't have time, think, what do I have right here? What do I have right in front of me? What is right in front of my nose? And I always like to say to people, when I practice this, we ran out of breadcrumbs. I was making chicken, okay? And usually I buy breadcrumbs and I made out, and I could have just gone to the store. But I decided to say, what is my closed world? It's in my kitchen. My solution is going to come from in my kitchen. I pulled out cereal. I took rice checks. I made the chicken dipped in rice checks. It was gross. I'm not saying I would do it again, but it was innovative. Okay. So I could have went to the store for the classic, but if you couldn't go to the store, something else in your vicinity right in front of you could be a solution for you. And also, please, if anyone has any questions, please feel free to just, stop me, shout it out. I'm not always looking at the chat, but I want to make sure that I'm able to help you. So I'm going to share with you a clip now from a movie. If you remember this movie, it was from when I was a child, okay, or maybe in high school. I don't know when it came out. It was called Apollo 13, and about a spaceship that was about to crash. It's just 1 minute, and I wanted to share with you one great example of why your solutions or how your solutions need to come from within your closed world. How do we define that? What is it? And let's watch this 1 minute clip.
Gene, we have a situation brewing with the carbon dioxide.
We had a CO2 filter problem on the lunar module,
5 filters on the limb.
which were meant for 2 guys for a day and a half. So I told the doc,
You're already up to 8 on the gauges. Anything over 15 and you get impaired judgment, blackouts, the beginnings of brain asphyxia.
What about the scrubbers on the command module?
They take square cartridges.
The ones on the limb are round.
Tell me this isn't a government operation.
This just isn't a contingency we've remotely looked at.
Those CO2 levels are going to be getting toxic.
Well, I suggest you gentlemen invent a way to put a square peg in a round hole. Rapidly.
Okay, people, listen up. People upstairs handed us this one, and we gotta come through. We gotta find a way to make this fit into the hole for this, using nothing but that. Let's get it organized.
Okay, let's build a filter.
Better get some coffee going, too, someone.
Okay, so that video, again, I hope is a great example for you, because when you are, what did they do? They could have said, let's call, I mean, they couldn't have called AAA, but let's say we were in a car and our car broke down. Like we would just call AAA or whatever we have in our like local vicinity. They were about to crash. They had no choice. They needed a creative solution. And the creative solution came within their closed world, which was their spaceship. They had no other choice. They had to come up with a solution. They didn't have a choice. And I want you to start looking at yourself. So next time you have a problem, say to yourself, the solution can only come from my current staff. The solution can only come from my budget. Like it has to. We have to come up with a solution. The more you do that, the more it's going to help you. The hardest part is really doing this with the big, with the big picture in mind. I was brought actually to a few times. I helped to run brainstorming sessions. And what happens is a lot of times you come in and we're used to this, again, this classic method, think out the box, and it spends, by the way, you spend days and you walk out with a headache, right? You're like, after 4 hours, you're like, I can't believe this. Like we literally didn't do anything. And some of you have companies that have the forethought and they're like, wait a minute, we're going to run a brainstorming session. Like, let's do it efficiently. Let's do it effectively. So, I'm going to share with you different tools to use on your own. You're going to be able to take these tools back with you and use them right away. Sometimes you might have like a bigger event or something like really important. You can't afford, to risk doing this yourself. And that's fine. Something that's like where I come in, but in general, these are the tools. Okay. So this is what we're going to talk about. We're going to get into now the really practical. Okay. So there is, 3 tips for effective brainstorming, and that's what I'm going to share with you today. The first one is apply constraints, work in small groups, and zoom into brainstorm. We spoke about a little of these like more superficially, but I want to get in more in depth with you now. Okay, so the first one is apply constraints. And as I mentioned many times, the less options you have, the more you constrain your brain and your options, the more creative you're going to be. So that means, number 1, when you have a brainstorming session, please do not say, think out of the box, the sky's the limit, throw any idea out there. That is so unhelpful. How many times do you look back and it's like, literally, rent out a stadium, bring in the most expensive speaker, like, we're not doing that, okay? So please, number 1, if you have a budget, please give the budget. If you have no budget and you could rent a stadium, then you should say the sky's the limit. But if there is a budget and you have $1 or $10,000, please say that. It is not helpful for anybody to suggest ideas that we can't afford. I know we want to have big dreamers, but big dreamers are so unhelpful, okay? So number 1, please put a budget on what you're brainstorming about. Number 2, and this is so counterintuitive, okay, that you're going to go a little bit crazy. I'm going to try to practice if we can for a moment, like at the end of doing this. I want you to give a maximum amount of time that people are allowed to innovate for. Now you're going to think, oh, she means like an hour. No, I actually mean 3 minutes. When I ask people a question, I only give them 3 minutes to brainstorm. Literally 3 minutes. And I say to them, do you guys know each other? Are you friends? No, we don't know each other. Okay, everybody meet now, say hello. When I start the timer in 3 minutes, no one is schmoozing. We are literally working for 3 minutes. I am going to put such a big time pressure on you that you're going to have to generate an idea quickly. Okay, it's going to sound crazy. You're like, how am I going to do this? But I'm going to tell you, I know how to ask. Well, I also know how to ask very specific questions. I'm going to ask a question that's so specific. And in those 3 minutes, you're not going to have a choice. You're going to have to come up with something. Again, not every idea is going to be amazing, but you're going to come up with something that hopefully will take you a lot farther. Okay. So again, there's financial is set a budget, time, give a time limit, items. I want you only to allow your group to only think about realistic, implementable ideas. Not ideas that we like need to hire 47 people to implement. Again, that's not practical. Like the solution has to come within our current staff. You know what I mean? And it has to be able to execute it in the next 3 months. Again, if you could hire 10 staff, fine, but be practical. Be practical. I'm only going to hire 1 staff. We can only, you know what I mean? Whatever it is to get things done. You this can't take a year. This has to be done in a week. Be every single limitation, put it on the table. Less is more. The more limits, the better. I know it sounds crazy, but the more you limit people, the better it is. And this is another point I want to share. It's extremely important. If you are trying to, I know staffing is a big challenge, okay? I'm a lot of times where I'm running these discussions about recruiting, retaining staff. And someone said to me, could we run a brainstorming session to help recruit and retain staff? And I said to them, that's 2 different brainstorming sessions. Recruiting staff and retaining staff are 2 different topics. Please make sure that when you are brainstorming, you are not brainstorming a run-on sentence. This is what people do. They're like, okay, so let's brainstorm. How do we innovate our conference and while making the donors happy and also keeping everything in a really tight budget? Like, okay, could we break this down? We want to do our donors happy. We'll do that after. Like, let's innovate this conference. If we want to innovate the conference for donors, so let's innovate the conference for donors. But we can't also in one session sit down and think about, because what happens is, this is what people do. They're like, innovate the conference, and they're like, but the donor's not going to be happy. So they negate all their ideas. It's like, you need to focus on one thing, get that done, and then we will bring in and figure out how to solve challenges. But, you know, I do this a lot of my sessions, but this is the one question, by the way, and I tell this all the time. If you could just do this one thing, you will literally be in a different place. Whenever someone gives an idea and you're the type of person, or they're the type of person to be like, no, that's bad. It's not going to work. We tried it already. We did it 5 years ago. No. Right. And I'm perfect at this, right? Because I am like the person that will tell you every idea is bad. It's my talent. So if you have someone in your group like this, all you need to do is say to them, what are the benefits of this idea? So they say to you, we're innovating a conference, and they're like, and you come up with an idea and you have a great, and like, no, they're never going to like it. They're not going to go with it. Okay. What are the benefits of having this? If you could get people to list the benefits of your idea, it's going to put them, their mind in a completely different place, and they're going to do like a shift. Oh, well, I mean, I guess we'd save a lot of money. And I guess we'd say, well, actually, the truth is, if we told the donors we'd be saving a lot of money, maybe they wouldn't mind this idea. All you need to do is ask that one question, and like the whole thing switches. So again, anyway, if you have any questions, please shout them out. Give a limit on budget, give a limit on time, on how long it takes, how the 3 minutes, how long it takes to implement. And please only brainstorm one item at a time. Okay, the second thing is work in small groups. And as I mentioned before, big groups are not efficient. It's one person talking, 14 people listening, but the data has found that groups of 2 or 3 are going to be more efficient than big groups. So when I run brainstorming sessions, even if we have a group of 15, I will break them up into 5 small subgroups. If you have an introvert, if anyone here is an introvert, they will really thank me for this, but this is a very safe space for quiet people to share. Because most people are comfortable sharing with 1 or 2 other people, but they're not all comfortable in front of a big group. So what happens now is, instead of 1 person sharing and 14 people listening, we have 15 people generating ideas at once. And I want you to think about this. Normally in a meeting, it's like 90 minutes, 1 person speaking, maybe 4 people talk, there's a bunch of ideas, they're not useful. Now we have, in 3 minutes, 15 people are generating ideas. What happens after that is then we share, and I've done this many times, I'm actually breaking up. It's not just one group of 15 into small 5 groups. Let's say we have 3 groups of 15. So now I want you to think about this. It's amazing. In 3 minutes, 45 people have shared ideas. That's literally mine. It's literally like amazing. And here's another, okay, when you're ready for this, it's much harder to do this. I've run brainstorming sessions that each group was working on a different topic. Okay, so what that means is that these 15 people are talking about retaining staff. They're talking about recruiting staff. They're talking about another piece. Okay, so I'm actually running 3 brainstorming sessions at one time. That's for another day. But even for your own, 2 to 3 people come back together as a group and share, go back to your small groups. The more you can get back into smaller groups, the better this is. And again, just much more psychological safety. Everyone feels safe sharing. I can't recommend this enough. Okay, the last piece is something that I call zoom into brainstorm. So what I want you to do is I want you to just imagine, like, I don't know where, if you live in a home or an apartment or something, you look outside and imagine like your block across the street or the row of apartments across from you, or just imagine like a scan of that. And now I want you to like zoom in. And instead of imagining the whole block, I want you just to imagine the house in front of you or the apartment in front of you. And now I want you to zoom in even further. And I want you to imagine like the door, okay? The door of the house that you're looking at. You see, every time you zoom in and out, you get a different perspective. And sometimes when we get stuck, it's because we're looking at things from the same angle. This is, again, one of my favorite examples, but imagine you own a hotel and you want to innovate the check-in process. Now, what do most people do? They want to innovate the check-in process. So guess what they do? They serve cookies at the desk. And they're like, we're so innovative, okay? Or we sell lemonade, whatever. We serve lemonade. And everyone loves us because they come and they get a cookie. Now, it's very nice that you do that. And it is cute. But let's go further. Let's zoom out a little bit. Because when does the check-in process actually start? Does it start when you walk into the hotel lobby and you go to the front desk to get your key? Perhaps it starts when you get on the shuttle from the airport. Now imagine you get on the shuttle and someone says, oh, we're so glad you're staying at the Hilton. We have a cup of coffee for you ready to just enjoy on your way to the hotel. You'd be like, wow, that's really nice. Let's zoom out even further. Imagine your check-in process started when you signed up online, you booked your hotel online, and 3 minutes later, you get a phone call. Oh, hi, Meira. We're so glad you're staying at the Hilton. We're so glad, and we just wanted to make your stay perfect for you. Can you tell me the name of the newspaper that you like to read? We want to have that in your room ready for you upon your arrival. You would be like, wow, wow. You see, by changing your closed world, by changing where you want your solutions to come from, you're going to always get a different perspective. We're looking for clients from one place, but sometimes we need to take a step back. We keep being hyper-focused. We talk about innovating a conference. I'm always involved in conferences, so I'm always using this example, but you want to innovate a conference, and people are like, okay, think out of the box. Let's do a different thing this year. And like everyone's like, we should do another theme. Okay. Instead, let's zoom in and out. Like, let's just innovate the Sunday morning breakfast. Let's innovate the speakers. Now, I am trained in SIT, so I know how to innovate the speakers, and I could do it in moments. You're not trained in that yet. But even just zooming in and out and saying, oh, let's innovate the breakfast. Like, okay, maybe we should have like different types of food. Let's innovate the buffet line. Okay, let's make the line go across the room. Let's move the breakfast to another location. Let's say the speaker, innovate the speaker. We use this famous speaker. Well, maybe instead of having one speaker for 60 minutes, we have 10 speakers who speak for 6 minutes. And maybe instead of getting someone really famous and wealthy, we bring in someone extremely poor and tells us about their story. Or maybe instead of bringing someone in, and there's so many different ways to innovate, but just by changing and zooming in and out, changing that perspective is going to force us to innovate. So when I just say like, innovate the user experience, innovate the parent experience, innovate your donor, like that's not helping you. That's literally the equivalent of thinking out of the box. It's too big. You need to zoom in and make your closed world more narrow. You need to say, where am I looking for? Let's innovate just the grading system in our school. Let's innovate the snack room for our staff. Like the more you zoom in and out, let's innovate the snack room at 8 a.m. Oh, wait, I can't think of anything. Wait, let's take a step back. Let's innovate the snack room in general. Let's just innovate the drinks. Let's innovate, just keep looking around, literally looking around, looking at a conference schedule and just like pointing like at blindly and saying, let's innovate the welcoming table. The more you do that, the more you're not looking at a big picture, the easier it is. When you're running a brainstorming session, sometimes it's like, let's innovate, let's think out of the box, let's do all these things. Let's innovate. Let's just pick one small thing to innovate. And let's do it in 3 minutes. And let's do it in small groups. By changing things even further, you'll be able to do that. So everyone's okay with this, and not everyone's going to be so happy. But I'm going to put everyone in breakout rooms. Okay, so that means if you are sleeping, you need to wake up now. Okay, you're going to be wake up. If you're going to be in breakout rooms, you're going to have 2 or 3 people or so in your room. I don't know exactly. But I want you to try this. Okay, so we're going to innovate you have a 1 day, we'll do a staff party. Okay. You have a staff party and you have 3 minutes. And I want you to, in 3 minutes, you're going to just zoom in on one part, pick one part, and just come up with something innovative. Now, again, it's a little bit hard for you because you're not trained in SIT. Like for me, I know exactly how to innovate quickly. I know you're not going to know how to do that, but I want you to just think about if you were in a meeting in your work, how long this would take. I'm going to give you 3 minutes and I'm going to start now. Okay. Good luck and come back. Okay, now I just have a lot of people that probably hate me. Okay, so I want to hear about some people's experiences. I know you do not, there was no way, you were not trained to innovate on demand. You don't know how to do that yet. You're not trained in SIT. But I want to hear from anyone, if you could share what happened, if this was a different experience at a regular brainstorming session. Anybody feel comfortable sharing with the group? If not, I'll just call on you. So someone might as well volunteer.
How do I raise hand?
Oh, sorry. Hi, are you speaking?
Yeah, hi. Oh, I was like, how do I raise my hand? I didn't realize that it's done. Okay, so we actually were very innovative. Like, we were just like throwing ideas, which in normal case, I would be like, what's your name? Who are you? Like, I would just like start communicating with the person I was speaking to and like get to know them. But in this case, it was more like, oh, okay, so we have to come up with ideas for a staff party. So we're like right away throwing things against the wall and see what sticks. So we came up with like hiring like not hiring, I'm saying taking a staff member to share personal. We were like on revolving around the Hanukkah party theme. So like hiring somebody someone taking someone personal from the company to talk for the company and share like a personal miracle story, and then having everybody talk about it and relate, how it's relatable to everybody else. So it's like a very it's like a joint discussion at the end while she's sharing her story, and then afterwards everybody could be like, wow, that's so beautiful, I had this story, I had that story. And then Shiffy, I believe, was it Shiffy or the other one that was in our team, was like, how about we also play like a game, like 2 lies and 1 truth, or 2 truths and 1 lie, that style game.
Yeah.
And then regarding food, we were like, okay, let's just do like a survey where people can choose what they want, milchiks, leishigs, and that foods that they like, and then bring together all the papers and then choose what foods, what direction we should go in terms of food. So yeah.
First of all, in 3 minutes, that's like amazing. I just want to say that's amazing. And besides for that, just the middle one, choosing a speaker from in your own company. How often are we like, who can we bring in? There's got to be someone. And I think that's the main point of this, right? Like we're look from within. It doesn't always have to be from without. And it can't always be within. You're not going to every time have the same person speak and whatever, but there's a lot of talent. I always feel like people are looking outside, and we have so much talent inside. Why are we doing that? We hire the best people. Why are we looking outside? But your group, how much you came up with in 3 minutes is amazing. Okay, Michael, 1 second. I'm going to go to Shlomo first, and then we're going to call Michael because I know Shlomo was about to share before.
Right. And then also regarding Shiffy said she doesn't work well under pressure, and you did come up with ideas.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I was going to comment on all that. I just saw the chats now.
Actually, it wasn't me that came up with the ideas. I was
I'm sorry. Okay, fine. But you were agreeing, so you were part of it. Yeah.
No, I was like thinking, you know what? At the end, I was like, oh, we could branch off that and think of something related to the food that has to do with the speech. Like I feel like it's a good start. Like that 3 minutes is like a good starting point.
Yeah.
And then once you get that, then you're like, okay, so you just thought of this idea, and then like, let's take. I guess once you like join up the ideas with other teams, like maybe you could like take it and develop.
You start getting more comfortable. Yeah.
I feel like
thank you.
That,
Okay, Shlomo, do you want to share what you were going to say?
Sure. We I was in a group with David Azarad and Miriam Blumen, and so we basically came up with the idea. Our party's going to be more of a like appreciation party, end of year kind of thing. Where we're appreciating our staff. It's a staff appreciation party. So within the actual content of the actual party, we said there would be like awards ceremonies and like highlighting different staff, and that kind of specific stuff. But at the end, we were focusing more on like a gift party favor bag to take home and what we were gonna like send home with the staff. So we there was gonna be a little bag. There was gonna be like a branded phone charger or something like that. A thank you note from management, or what else did we put in there? I forget what else we put in there, but yeah, it was really cool to really work with such a short amount of time to really highlight and brainstorm. It was really good.
But what's great is that, normally people like the whole party and you're like, I don't know what to think about. You're like, okay, let's just innovate the bag, right? Like just pick one thing and let's just innovate that. Like it doesn't, otherwise we're frozen a little bit, right? And again, without those tools, like even you don't even have the tools that maybe you're just in those 3 minutes, we're able to get to that. That's awesome. But thank you, Michael.
Hi, thank you. So, I mean, the initial shock was being thrown into the room without, you talked about constraints, even though we were dealing with the ideas of a party, but like, I didn't, trying to figure out, okay, so what are the constraints here? Because like, it still felt like the box was too big. But, we just like kind of settled on focusing on the food. I think that's where we usually think party and we think of food. So, we came up with this idea of like coming out with like, like a yogurt bar so this way it's like not too expensive. You have like a whole array of different things. It's like more of a healthy kind of alternative to, your usual kind of fare that you have at a party. And then from there, we kind of like, like in concentric circles moved a little bit outward to, branding, the cups and, having ice chips and like what the seating would be like, having like a food court and like, the areas flanking tablecloths and tables and things like that. So we were focusing more on the experience of like what it would be like, as far as the interaction with the food.
How did you come up? It's amazing. In 3 minutes. This is 3 minutes. I just want to understand. Not even that. It's 3 minutes. All these ideas were all in 3 minutes. Not just you were in 3 minutes. We had like 15, 20 different people in 3 minutes. Like, that's amazing. Okay. Anyone? Thank you, Michael. Thank you for sharing that. Anybody else want to share anything? Any other thoughts on the experience? Okay, so, again, this isn't a class about learning as IT. Obviously, it's something that would help you, when you really want to learn how to innovate on demand. But like, this is really like, I just wanted to give you like really a taste of what it's like and to be able to brainstorm and do this on your own. So what did I say? I'm gonna stop here. So what did I say that we were going to do today? Okay, so number one, I said that we are going to share with you a little bit of what SIT is and how it works. I'm going to explain to you why we brainstorm the way that we do and why it doesn't work. I'm going to give you tips on how to brainstorm more effectively, and I'm going to make it practical too. And I think we've done all that. So if you want to talk further, obviously, let's jump on a call, and on that discussion, I can hear about your typical challenges. We could decide on a game plan. Like, do you maybe just need a few innovation techniques, or do you need, someone to help facilitate your brainstorming session? So my goal is to help you achieve results as quickly as possible. And, is why people refer me, because I just want to get you results you need. And I don't like wasting time. I really like doing everything quickly. So as much as I can, that's what I try to do. So please reach out to me if you want to book a call and connect after. I will put my contact in the chat, and I am available now for about 5 more minutes to answer questions. So anybody has any thoughts, and I also just some of the things on the chat, I was looking through it. But, definitely, did the Apollo 13 work as one big group or solve one small problem? It's interesting. They worked as a group. It wasn't a big team. There must have been like 6 or so people there. I don't know. I don't know what happened if they were speaking over there in groups of 2 or 3, but, it's definitely the whole thing, this whole process, and just the amount of time that we spend on these classic brainstorming sessions. Like, how many times we sit there and it's like, the next time, you should know, every time I hear the word, like, think out of the box, I cringe. Like, why would I ever think out of the box ever again? It doesn't help. It doesn't tell me what to do. There's a better way. And now, that I'm trained in SIT and I can innovate on demand, like, I could really give you new ideas in 3 minutes or in 1 minute. It's just been such a game changer for me. It's helped, I've helped schools, organizations, innovative dinners, or nonprofits, like so many pieces. And it's just amazing. Definitely a skill that you want to learn. Hi, I have a question.
I want to say something, a few things. First of all, just some background. I work for CTO Network, so I'm involved with all I produce their podcast. I listen to a lot of different thought leaders and different topics. So part of this is influenced by that. But I once went to a very good session in Temach in Jerusalem, and the head of it, called Gevira, she gave a presentation, and she told us to think of we had to reinvent the washing machine. We had to think of what you need. I just think that it was a very good. I think it's really good in these. If you have it, let's say our team meeting, is to really take something and really stretch your brain. It's like it's a muscle, creativity. And one thing I mentioned with in our little huddle was that one game I did from like growing up is that you pass around a random object, and the same object, and everyone has to have a different use for it. So let's say you're passing around a shoe or a brick, and this person, the brick is their phone. This person, the brick is a balance, is a paperweight. This person, the brick is a thing, and it's a good activity for a team bonding, because it forces you to be creative and also brings out different personalities. So I think they're very, very good if you have a brainstorming meeting. I don't know, I'm not familiar with SITs. Is to have a brain stretcher, a warm up, something really creative, and get people thinking, and then continue.
Thank you for sharing that. Yeah, that's really adorable. Thank you. Anybody else? Anyone want to share any last things? Ask any questions?
When you say that innovation and creativity kind of work together?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So whether innovation is like the creative is more of the process, innovation is more of like what we're making.
I'm thinking if how it would translate. I'm a marketing strategist and a copywriter. I'm wondering how it would translate, and if this could translate into developing copy in a way that's it's not
It's funny. It's funny you're saying that. I actually reached out to a famous, like a bigger copywriter who teaches copywriting, and I said, I'm like, I think we should teach part of SIT in your course. If you had this skill, you would be able to look at a paper and think of new ways of being able to write copy and be able to place on the page and different, whether it's the wording or whether it's the design of graphics, it works.
Great. What services do you offer, like one-on-one?
If you want, I could just do you want to just set up a time? Who am I speaking with? I don't even know.
Sarah, I guess I'll reach out directly, no problem.
Oh, fine. Yeah, let's reach out directly. Yeah, thank you. Of course. Happy to help anybody who wants. Thank you. Anyone else have any questions? Okay. And feel free also, we're going to, doing a number of webinars, but if you have any topics you want to learn about, this is just my brainstorming, goal setting, of solving problems, all that stuff is just in my DNA right now. So happy to offer those if you have any specific things that lets me know. It is hard to think out of the box. It's actually not helpful. So you'll never have to do that again. And if you hear anyone else say out of the box, you can correct them and say, Meira Spivak says that we think in the box. So thank you everybody for being here.